Sheldon Ferris for Indigenous Rights Radio, first day of the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, 24th session. I'm here with Miss Hannah McGlade today. Hannah, just give us a brief description. Tell us who you are, which organization you work for, and your tribal affiliation as well.
My name's Hannah McGlade. I'm from the Kurin Minang people of the Noongar Nation of the south of Western Australia, and I was appointed a permanent forum member in 2019. I'm in my final year. I'm associate professor also at Curtin Law School.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. So let's talk about the first day. What are the key takeaways from the first day of the forum?
We always have our official opening on the morning of the first day, and it was very significant today because we had the Secretary-General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and that's a first. It's never happened before. We also had a new minister for Colombia, perhaps, or yes, Ms. Lena. Minister for the Environment. She's an Indigenous woman activist, and I think it was a very stirring opening. Actually, I felt very inspired from today's official opening. Our theme this year is about implementing the UN Declaration. I think the Secretary General acknowledged the dire situation of Indigenous peoples, really, and made a strong call to action.
Are women being represented at these forums? So you've just attended a session that had to do with women. Just tell us about that session and what played out in that one.
So we just had our afternoon dedicated to an intergenerational and inter-regional dialogue on Indigenous women's rights. And I was really happy to see Indigenous women's rights firmly on the agenda of the Permanent Forum, because very often, or too often, it's not actually the case. And women's issues are often being raised in side events, but perhaps not getting the time and the attention that's deserved in the main forum. So I think we saw a good reception from Indigenous peoples and member states, as well as we had UN women on the podium. We had a panel of presenters representing Indigenous women, UN women, the Minister for Colombia, all very good presentations, and then dialogue from the members. We heard some good examples about recognition of women's rights, Indigenous women's rights across the globe, and we heard, of course, the ongoing issues of discrimination and violence, including murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls, and systemic and structural discrimination, as well as violence to the land, the environment, which, of course, our Indigenous women are very reliant on. I hope that we can support some of the calls made by Indigenous women today. There was a very strong call for the Commission on the Status of Women to be properly inclusive and non-discriminatory to Indigenous women. That's a promise that they made in the past, and they're not delivering on it. So Indigenous women are really not getting the floor and being treated properly by CSW. UN Women said they heard them. I spoke about the situation in Australia, where we have been communicating using what's known as the optional protocol to the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women to highlight the plight of murdered, missing, incarcerated Indigenous women and girls in Australia. We have a series of cases we've called Seven Sisters, named after our Dreamtime legend. But unfortunately, our first communication to the optional protocol, while initially welcomed by the OHCHR, was a year and a half later rejected on a basis that we disagree strongly with. We feel that we've actually been discriminated against by the OHCHR. Now, we have General Recommendation 39 by the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, but it's time to turn these decisions and these interactions and deeds, and that's something that's been said a lot here today, it's really important. Even in this time of crisis of the UN, of liquidity crisis, we had a woman also from our expert woman from our forum who's denied a visa here today, and that's the first time that's happened. But it's important that we keep going forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you. Ms. Hannah McGlade is a Noongar human rights and social justice advocate from Western Australia.